Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town ran with Space Cadet Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for diehard Houston sports fans. From a diehard Houston sports fan, I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite diehard Astros fan podcaster. I'm an actor, improviser, writer, creative multi-hyphenate, and of course, and most importantly, I'm a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. I'm over here talking about doing comedy. I actually got my start in comedy, sports, Houston. That's how Houston I am. I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer here in Los Angeles, and now, well, I'm podcasting just like everybody else out here. That's what happens when you hit 10 years out here, folks. You start absent-mindedly calling it the 10 instead of I-10, and you just magically just get podcasting equipment. And you start your podcast. Welcome to said podcast. Space Cadet Sports started as a passion project because most media is infuriating. As a diehard long-term fan of your Houston Astros and other Houston sports teams, here we aren't doom and gloom casual fans, or worse, the national media haters, or just straight up avoiders. We love our teams and root them on, and we also kind of want to try to discuss the ins and outs of them without too much homerism. The key word here is it's what we're kind of doing. We're trying, folks. We're trying. Folks, this episode, unfortunately, is not much better than the last episode. The sports rapture took us. They took all of the hopes and dreams of most Houston sports fans in this past week. We do have a glimmer of hope, just enough to keep you dangling here, folks. The Astros, while they lost their series to the, Athletics, I struggle to remember what I'm even legally supposed to call them. I don't want the president to come and take my podcast away because I didn't call them the right name. Folks, the Sacramento Athletics, the Oakland Athletics, the Las Vegas Athletics, the Limbo Athletics took a series from the Houston Astros when they needed to win one in a just heartbreaking series. Today, right now, as we speak, it's a seventh inning stretch of the third game of the series, and the Houston Astros are up 10-1 in the bottom of the seventh. We'll get to it, folks. Before we continue, I want to welcome returning listeners and welcome new listeners to what my brothers call the Paul Broad Pod Ball Blog. Hey, brothers. Shout out to my brothers. Shout out to Arrested Development fans. Check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience, or the full blog experience, depending on your interpretation of my pronunciation there. We're recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, as always, where I'm joined by my co-host and co-producer, The Roz, to my Fraser. Carla, the dog, is here with me. She is tossing and turning there, taking her little nap. I want to wish good day, mates, to all the listeners. You know that she has the hot takes on this podcast, where I have the cool, reasonable takes most of the time, or at least reactionary takes. I'm reacting to the reactions. We live in a hot take society, folks. We have elected to be sports fans. I say we try to enjoy it a little bit. We don't just want to be miserable and angry and hateful all the time, although, it helps when your team wins. It hasn't been great lately, obviously. I was about to launch into it. But, folks, right now, let's talk about the present. Let's talk about what's right in front of us. And that's Paul's picks. Oof. I have been sick. You can hear it in my voice. I have not been well. I got the vid. Watch out, the vid's back, baby. No matter what they're saying out there, COVID, you can still get it, folks. Make sure you take your medicine. Make sure you talk to your doctors and do what they prescribe for you, not what some podcaster tells you to do. That includes me. I'm a clown, folks. I'm here for the yucks. I'm here for the sports. But do make sure you're taking care of yourself out there. COVID is back. I got sick And because of that, I struggled out of the gate with Paul's picks. So this week, we're back with Paul's picks. I'm doing Paul's picks this week. We're looking at NFL Week 4. Technically, we're looking at that as we're watching the Astros game in the background. I have a doctor's appointment coming up that I got to get my butt to. So we're recording this a little before I would have liked to. I would have loved the game to be over, to be able to talk about that. But it's okay. I can multitask. We'll see. We'll see if this podcast is much worse because I'm watching a baseball game in the background. We don't know, folks. We've yet to really have one where I'm actively watching a game in the background. But we've yet to have a season where I'm actively watching the last 2 series of the season, praying that the Astros get into the postseason. This is a highly irregular time for your boy. But don't worry, I'm not spiraling out of control. I'm trying to remain in charge of my emotions. I'm not lashing out irrationally at my family because of sports. Make sure you're taking care of yourself out there, guys. But let's get to Paul's picks tonight. The NFL Week 4. We have Seattle at Arizona. And, it's hard. I don't want to hear the name Seattle right now as a Houston Astros fan. It's frustrating. Yeah, as a Houston Texans fan, I said it was a non-story. Obviously, we're going to joke about it. But, CJ Stroud's out there wearing Mariners and Yankees hats. Look, and I said, look, you got to understand these boys, these youngins, these young bucks, they're all about fashion. It isn't about brand loyalty. It's about matching clothes. I'm not going to bemoan CJ Stroud. I'll make my jokes, of course, but still, I'm just saying, I don't think we should be mad at that boy for wearing matching hats. But I will say this, CJ, when you're winning, you can pretty much do whatever you want, but when you're losing, it's a tough thing. Maybe be careful what you're doing. Maybe check your fits with the standings every now and then. I get it. Wear what you want, but my goodness, boy, when you are not winning football games, Mr. CJ Stroud, you gotta be careful out there. All that to be said, I'm picking Seattle in this game. Seattle at Arizona. Arizona is the home dogs. They're not. This is kind of a coin flip game. I don't trust I like both Arizona and Seattle. I like them both this season, but they really haven't done anything quite for me yet. I don't have a feel for them, is what I'm trying to say. But I'm going with Seattle here. I feel like Seattle on the road. I could see them winning that game against Arizona, but I just don't trust it, because I feel like I don't have a feel for it. So, we're going to kind of punt here a little bit going with Seattle, but I don't favor Arizona much more strongly than Seattle in this game, so it is a tough pick. We're going with Seattle and moving on to Sunday, where we have a Dublin game, folks. That's right. This game, while Pittsburgh is the home team, they are not actually in Pittsburgh. This is Minnesota at Pittsburgh. I've liked the Vikings. These are both the teams I would say, like, if Seattle and Arizona are both teams that I've liked. I just don't have a feel for them. Minnesota and Pittsburgh are teams that I like because I think the coaches can coach them into good situations. However, I feel much better about the Vikings' talent, and seeing that this isn't a proper home game. I'm going with Minnesota here for this game. Just moving on. We're going to Washington at Atlanta. The Commanders have looked really good, whereas I don't know what to make of this Falcons team completely yet. The Commanders are given the edge on the road here at -1.5. I'm going to have to go with the Commanders with this one here. I think, their offense hasn't looked too great. Look, I can't say anything as a Houston Texans fan. I know. Goodness, we'll get to the Texans. I don't even want to get to the Texans right now. I'm making jokes, talk about baseball. I don't even want to talk about the Texans right now. That's the Texans fan experience right now for you. So let's move on to the next game. New Orleans at Buffalo. The Bills are favored here heavily at minus 16.5, folks. How do you, we're calling it right now. This is Paul's pick of the week. This is it. Buffalo beating New Orleans. I think it's as much of a gimme as you can get here. You're not going to overthink this. Buffalo's been hot. New Orleans has been not. That's, the hottie and the naughty. The tale as old as time here. So we're going with Buffalo. We're even, but before we even overthink it, this is Paul's pick of the week and moving on. Next game is going to be Cleveland at Detroit. Oh my gosh. The line here is not favorable for the road team either, with Detroit being favored by 9.5 points. You still like the Buffalo versus New Orleans as a surer pick, but this one is right up there with it, obviously. We're going with Detroit and not overthinking it. And speaking of overthinking, let's start talking about your Houston Texans. The Titans are coming into town to play your Houston Texans. The Texans have not won a ball game this season. The Titans have not won a ball game this season. The Titans have a tough defense. The Titans can't show up to play the Houston Texans. This is a rivalry that these players will be playing for. The Houston Texans are favored by 7 points. They're favored by a full touchdown in this game. So you'd think the Texans would win. You'd think that I would have a lot of confidence going with the Houston Texans, locking it in and moving it on. Maybe even at 7, being favored by 7 points, maybe even making that Paul's pick of the week and going with a super homer take. We're not going to do that. No. Because these Texans right now, I'm not saying they're imposters, because it's not like we had the highest expectations for at least I didn't have Super Bowl expectations. I know some people did. I was in a holding pattern to wait and see what this offensive line would look like, what this offense would look like. So maybe my expectations were tapered. So because of that, I'm not crashing quite as hard as some other Texans fans are right now. But folks, this team needs to prove it to me. This team needs to show me some offense. Last week was tough, watching them lose to the Jaguars. And for that reason, of course, we're going to go with the Texans here. We feel like they are the team with the edge, but my goodness, it hurts to say it, but they need to show me something here. And I'm not the only one saying it, and the players, the coaches, I don't think this is harsh criticism from your boy. This isn't spicy takes. These aren't hot takes. These are normal, calm, reasonable takes, I would even say, compared to what people are putting out there. So we're saying that we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some more Paul's picks. You can tell it's been a while. On the other side of a break, we'll be right back.
Houston Astros, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. For those of you who dropped the needle in the middle of the vinyl, and those of you old enough to understand that reference, I'm your host, the irreverent Paul Salazar Jr. Welcome back to the podcast. We're talking about Paul's picks this week, at least in the A and the B block. We are talking about what teams I'm picking in like a pick'em scenario. We do talk about the lines here, but this is not like a money line pick. Or look, I'm a comedian, folks. But take this with a grain of salt. These are your laughs, okay? So just remember that while we're talking about Paul's picks. Right now, I got the Astros game in the background. It's the top of the 8th. The Astros are up 11-1. Christian Walker hit a home run since the last time we talked on the podcast. This game was in double digits without a home run, but Christian Walker decided to get rid of that stat. So let's move on. We're watching this game with great interest, and we're going to be watching a Red Sox game and a Tigers game later with great interest as well. We'll get to that when we talk some baseball in a bit. But let's continue with Paul's picks. Let's get to the NFL. Some more of Sunday's games. We have Carolina, the Panthers, at New England. New England is favored here by 5.5. I'm talking about how I don't trust the Texans. I would stay away from this line as well unless you're from New England. You know a lot of stuff about them, I guess. If you're a New England podcaster, sure. But I'm picking New England, of course. I think they should win this game. But that spread, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of it, but we are picking New England and moving on. The Los Angeles Chargers are playing the New York Giants. The New York Football Giants, folks, are not favored at home. They're giving the Chargers the edge here with a minus 6.5 spread. I mean, you have to go with the Chargers in this game. I know that the Giants have shown up in some games this season, had some moments. But I like the Chargers. Picking them, not overthinking it, and moving on. We have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got my wires crossed, almost said the Rays there, but these are the Buccaneers that they're playing. The Eagles are not playing a baseball team. The Eagles are favored in this game by 3.5. And yeah, I like that. I feel like that's probably right on the money. I definitely have some bad feelings about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, I do think it's a pretty straightforward pick. The Eagles should win this game. Then we have Indianapolis at the LA Rams. The Colts are surprising. They're 3-0. They're top of the AFC South. Definitely did not expect that here. I was not predicting that at the beginning of the season. However, I do not think that they'll take this Rams team that the Texans face in that first week of the season. I'm definitely picking the Rams. I think this is Indy takes their first loss of the season. LA Rams in this one. Next game is going to be Jacksonville at San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 3 points in this game. San Francisco. This might be a close one. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have to put some respect on their name, a little bit at least. They're always a bit of a spunky team. But I think the 49ers are taking this one. Moving on, the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Ravens are favored in this game by 2.5. And I like that. I think this could be a close one. This could be a bit of the game of the week, if you will. But I do think the Ravens should take this one. Not overthinking that. The Chiefs, they can be very frustrating. They're great, but they always, they have some close games in the regular season and drop some whereas I think the Ravens are going to have a bit more fire under them. At least, that's my comedic take. That's your take from your clown here. Moving on, we have Chicago at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Vegas Raiders are slightly favored here by 1.5 points at home. But you know what? I'm saying it. This week has been a little tough when I'm picking some underdogs. But I think this one might be my dog of the week. I don't know about the Raiders. I don't know about Chicago either. But I'm picking Chicago in this game. We're picking them for the upset. Sorry, Raiders Nation. We'll see if I was wrong, obviously, on Sunday. Moving on to Green Bay at Dallas. Dallas is home dogs. They're plus 6.5 at home in this game, and we agree. Give this game to Green Bay. I don't know how I feel about these Cowboys, especially in this game. Moving on to the Monday night games, we have the New York Jets at Miami. This is going to be Miami's favored at home by 2.5. I'm feeling a little spicy. After missing a couple of weeks of picks, after a really tough first week of picks, look, I need to redeem myself, but I'm feeling a little spicy. I don't want to go just all chalk. I'm picking the Jets in this game. That's right. I apologize if I'm cursing you Jets fans, but we're going with the Jets as the underdog here. It's not Carla's dog of the week. That's still Chicago. The Bear picks the Bears in the dog of the week. That's right. And the last game Monday night, we have Cincinnati at Denver. Denver's favored by 7.5 points in this game. We're going with Denver as well. We hear you, Vegas. I do think this could be a situation where the Bengals bingle me. For some reason, whenever I feel certain about a game that involves the Bengals, I think this isn't just me. I feel like there's other podcasters that talk about this. There's famous ones that talk about this, but I don't know what it is. I don't know. The curse of the Bengals, if it comes to get me here, I hope not. I sincerely hope not. But we'll see how we do, folks. Right now, in Pick'em, I have not had a good season. I have not had a good season on record. Last week I picked 11 wins, which was very needed, but But folks, it's going to be an uphill battle for your boy in his Pick'em League on the Sleeper app with your friends. In fantasy, I'm doing okay. I'm 2-1 in fantasy football, but we'll have to see how that goes. Shout out to David Montgomery on my team, getting 30 points and helping me win the week. If it wasn't for him, it would have been a loss. I kind of stole one there. So shout out to Allison. Sorry I stole one from you, but moving forward, the main stagers are looking to get consistent, just like the Astros, just like the Texans. Speaking of the Astros, right now, we're watching the game. It does look like Iniel de los Santos gave up a home run. It's still 11-2, the bottom of the eighth with one out. He's shaking his head. Look, these things happen. Oh, I apologize. There was a man on base. It's 11-3. Okay, look, I'm still not panicking. These things happen. But boy, these Astros are sweating me out. They are sweating all of us out. This is not what we have wanted this season. The Astros have dropped a series to the A's. It's been such a tough roller coaster this season. I did not anticipate that the roller coaster would come crashing down at the very end, but that's where we're at, folks. Sweeping the Rangers and winning the Silver Boot might be the silver lining on the season, the way the Astros have been playing. Then getting swept by the Mariners, which we've gone over, and as of last week, there's just Houston sports rapture occurring, and all good feelings and all hope dissipating, and now we're just all miserable. Then the Astros, after that episode, the Astros have lost a series against the Athletics. And, feelings are bad. We had Yordi here from the 100 Acre Woods. Just a very sad sack. It's been sad. I feel like, we are currently ahead to win today's game. You should feel good about winning a game 11-3 in the bottom of the eighth inning. I think that's doable. But the reason why I am so down, well, let's check it out. We have the official Space Cadet Sports Houston Astros panic meter. Where we left off was big gulp. That's right. The thermometer shot up. And gulp, we're starting to get a little worried. For good reason. The Astros need things to go in their favor to get back into the playoffs. They need other teams to lose games to get back into the playoffs, and not being able to control your destiny is not a good feeling. It is not a feeling that the Astros have had at all recently. So let's look at the panic meter. Obviously, if we're looking at the depressed meter, I think that would be high up there. I think those emotions, I don't think I'm panicking or angry. I think I'm sad, folks. I mean, that's just how it is. So let's look at the panic meter. It says, get a haircut / hire an Etsy wish. Which, I apologize. The jokes would land better if I said them correctly. So the panic meter's at get a haircut, hire an Etsy witch. Folks, Framber Valdez came out on the mound today with a new look. Looking, to get away from the way he's been pitching this summer. He's trimmed it up. And folks, I think this is time for, if you are out there and you're able to, you should get a haircut. It's time to mix it up. We need it. We need you. We need to do something to change the mojo up here, folks. Framber Valdez with his new haircut pitched 7 innings today, giving up 7 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts. That 1 earned run came on a home run in the game. So is it time? Should we get haircuts? I think so. Look, I'll tell you this, folks. If the Astros win the game today, which it looks like they will, it's an 11-3 game. The 8th inning just ended. I'll cut my hair. I will cut my hair. I will give myself a haircut for the Houston Astros, saying that I believe that they can sweep the Angels. Because we're going to need, one of you out there, like the Mariners did, hire an Etsy witch. Put a curse on somebody. We need to do something. Do something. The Astros, if they're winning this game, they will have to sweep the Angels. And that's a good scenario. That's a best case scenario. And that's tough. That's tough. Not only that, they need the Tigers to lose their game tonight, and they would need the Red Sox to lose their game tonight. And that would put them in a good situation where if they sweep the Angels, they would need either the Tigers or the Red Sox to lose a series to get them into the playoffs. That's a lot of winning, and that's depending on another team to lose 3 games. You need to win 3 games, and you need another team to lose 3 games. That's a huge ask, and that's half of that isn't even in the Astros' control. None of this is in your control. Let me remind you, we're fans. None of this is in our control. That's what's so tough about this, right? But we've been so spoiled. This team can still get to the playoffs, but we've been so spoiled. This is what baseball usually feels like most of the time. We have been so spoiled by the Astros of the last 10 years that we're not even used to this feeling anymore. This is what most baseball fans go through every year. The Rangers are already out of contention. They are already thankful and wistful for cheering on the Rangers this season and being like, well, folks, at least it was a good run. At least we got to cheer them on to contend. I don't think we would hear that type of a sentiment from an Astros fan base. But the fact of the matter is like, there's been a lot of people that have been doomers all season long. We have been able to root for this team to contend all the way up to the last week. And if they win the game today, they're still giving us hope. I feel a little bit like Dumb and Dumber. Jim Carrey, I feel like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance. As long as there's a chance, I'm going to be rooting on the Houston Astros, and I'm going to believe. And them winning this game gives me a little bit more a chance to root for them, and that's what this is about. We want to be able to root this team on. It has been a bad summer. It has been a bad September. But if Framber Valdez can turn it around today, this team could potentially turn it around. They could figure it out. This team does great when their backs to the wall. We get to cheer for the Astros a little bit longer during this golden era. And if this golden era ends in a week, I will be miserable. But still, we get to think about all the good things we got to root for and all the wonderful things we got to see them do and accomplish. And we're still rooting for them. So, if you're a diehard like me, I'm glad that you're still here with me. You're in the trenches rooting for this team, hoping for some good. And look, if you've already turned on them, fine. But you're a fair weather fan. You're not a real one. Or maybe you're just so emotionally charged you can't follow a baseball team because you'll just get so emotional all the time. So sometimes you got to walk away from it. Hey, I understand. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're too emotional. It's okay. We need all types of fans, of course. But folks, just let's be happy that we get to cheer this team on a little bit longer. Let's not bury them quite yet. They still have some baseball to play. And even if it's the difficult thing of cheering on our team while having to watch another team and cheering against them, you know what? Sometimes that's baseball. This team isn't over. This team isn't buried yet. This season isn't over. They need to do some miraculous things. But baseball's crazy. Baseball's weird. Crazier things have happened. I still want to believe. I want to believe. I'm the Dumb and Dumber meme. I am Mulder. The truth is out there. I want to believe, folks. But, I think it's tough. It is a tough scenario. It's not exactly likely, but we have to have a little bit of faith. We have to have a little bit of belief. That's where I'm coming from. That being said, folks, the Astros are down to the last 3 outs in the game. The ninth inning is wrapping up. The Astros have 3 outs left to get 3 outs to win the game is what I'm trying to say here. My brain is melting. Look, the COVID brain gets me sometimes, folks. I'm taking my medicine, but goodness, sometimes I have that foggy brain still. Folks, make sure you're taking your medicine out there. Wherever you are, just know that we still have some baseball left. We still have some Astros games to cheer for, so hope is not lost yet. Stay on that bandwagon with me. We will be cheering on the Astros all season and all offseason no matter what. So you stick here with me for some good vibes and some good Astros content. And with that being said, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this this transmission, Space Cadets. I apologize. That brain is mush. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, share, bop it, kick it, skip it, smash all of those buttons for me. We are a small podcast and only go as far as our listenership takes us. We're supported by listeners like you. So please share with the Houston fan or Australian in your life and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to. If you'd be so kind, go ahead and check me out on Substack. That's spacecadetsports.substack.com. You get all of the podcasts without ads. You get everything that I post on there for free, pretty much. I don't think I put maybe 2 or 3 things behind the premium paywall this season. If you would like to be so kind and support the podcast financially, you can become a premium subscriber. Right now I'll be honest, I want this content to get out to as many people as possible, so there's not a lot of things behind the premium paywall. If you want to let me know what you'd like some of those things to be, help me build that community, help me be there on the Substack. We want to hear from you. If you'd like to help support, but you don't want to pay for a subscription to Substack, that's fine. You can help buy some merch. That's right, merch is here. We have Don't Sleep on Houston basketball hats, Carla the dog hats, and H-Town Blue. Check that out at I always say www like some boomer. PaulSalazarJR.net, because I'm nothing but net. Check us out on social media at Space Cadet Sports, or you can call in. Let me know your take at speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports, where you can let me know your take. Let me know if you're still optimistic about this season or if you have given up hope. Let me know. Leave me a message. It could even make the podcast. If you've gotten this far and you want to support the podcast, you want to support us with being premium or getting some merch, and you still want to support your boy, thank you so much. You can find me making weird jokes, memes, arts, podcasts, and so much more at Paul Salazar JR on social media and PaulSalazarJR.net, because I'm nothing but net. You can find my other Substack and all my other nonsense if you're nasty. We're currently making Carla the dog stickers coming up soon in that shop. If you want some merch, you can find all that other stuff and other nonsense, if you're nasty, on my website. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to be the best that you can be. We still have hope, folks. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos Houston.